welcome to another Bella TV segment. My name is Jennifer, and I am joined by celebrity makeup artist and all-around beauty guru, Ignacia Soto-Aguilar. Ignacia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
Yeah, of course. So before we get into kind of your beauty resume, because you've worked on huge projects, movies, TV shows, I know you got your start originally in fashion and kind of red carpet glam. So tell our viewers a little bit about who you are and how you got started in the beauty industry.
So I was going to be a lawyer. I went to college to be a political science major, and I made money to pay for school doing some modeling. And when I did that, I met all of the backstage people that were working with me, and I felt more drawn towards that side of things than in front of the camera. So once I was done with school, I was like, okay, I have to be a part of that. I don't want to be in front of the camera anymore. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. And I started to work with those makeup artists that I got to know during that time. And I went to Paul Mitchell. I was going to be a hairstylist too, but then that didn't really flourish into anything. I ended up just immediately going, because I already had the connections with some of the magazines that I had worked with. So I ended up working with some of the photographers that I knew from before, and I had like a fast pass to that world. And once I started doing that, I started migrating into reality TV from a phone call from a friend who was like, hey, there's this TV show that's coming to town. Do you want to do it? And I was like, that looks fun. And that the fast pace of that world really drew me in. And I did maybe a few years of that. And after that, I was in Alabama working on a reality series, and a Nicolas Cage movie came to town. And I think I don't really know if this is true, but this is kind of a story that I always tell because this is what it feels like it's true, that there weren't really many makeup artists that had camera experience. So they reached out to me for that film, and I took the job as a key to the department head, but then the department head couldn't do the job. So I was offered the department head position in this movie, not knowing how to do movies. And I think not knowing how to do it made me less scared to do it, because I didn't really understand the difficulties of transitioning to the film. And I didn't die while we filmed. So yeah, so then it just ended up being this great experience that transitioned into more films. And now, gosh, how many years now? It's been like, 10, 11 years.
Wow.
Doing this. So
I mean, you mentioned obviously Nicolas Cage, huge name in Hollywood, but you've worked on massive projects like The Hunger Games, TNT's Claws television series. I mean, what is it like, working on these huge projects with these big name actors and just, massive kind of franchises? I mean, is it nerve-wracking? Is it exciting?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because IMDb and just online searches will pull up everything you've ever worked on, even if you've done like one day of background work, or if you've done a department head position, it's all just listed. So a lot of people mention The Hunger Games, and I'm like, well, yeah, but I only did like a day on that. But The Claws was my baby. That was my series. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I feel like it's weird to look back and be like, oh yeah, that was like 10 years ago, because it still feels like that every time I walk into a set. Like, oh, am I gonna like know what to do? Like, I just finished the series called Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion for Disney Channel.
Okay.
And that's the first Latinx superhero series that Disney puts out. So that was a really insane experience when I was chosen for that. It still feels like that every time I'm chosen for a show. I'm like, are you sure you want to hire me? Like, but I think that's what keeps it exciting and keeps me on my toes, just always being nervous for the next show. So
And then
Yeah,
where do
man.
you, so when you're on set, you're walking into, a new set, new characters, new people, where do you draw inspiration? Do you kind of sit down and hash it out with them, what they have in mind, or does a look come to you and that's kind of what you go with?
Yeah, well, there's a long process before the day of the makeup application. So you're hired for a job. Series and features a little different when it comes to the creative process.
Mhm.
For a series, you sometimes you're giving a series starting from episode 1. So that's really cool because you get to establish the characters yourself. But if you're given a series after the pilot's already been approved and or filmed and then approved by the network, and then now the network wants to buy the series and make it into a series, you start on episode 2. So you kind of have to draw from the first episode onto the second episode. But that process normally looks like you would interview with the producer or the writer, or in the writer, the director, and they would give you a little bit of an idea of what the show would be like. It's going to be like, and what they want. And then sometimes you do camera tests beforehand, and some directors and producers let the actors have say in their character too. So you involve them in the creative process, and it becomes this very collaborative moment with multiple people. It just depends on the show.
Yeah.
Some writers and directors, or sometimes it's the same person. Sometimes the producer, the director, and the writer are the same, and they want to have more of a say in everything. So, and then sometimes they tell you, hey, just talk to the actor, he'll tell you what to do. Or sometimes they say, you figure it out and show us options, and we will go with whichever one we like best. So it just depends on the show and the project. But yeah, it's really cool because I feel like I've had every single one of those. Like I've had it where, like, okay, you figure it out. I've had the micromanaging team. I've had the actress is the boss, and they're all very rewarding in their own way, and they all teach you something, especially like the ones where you don't really get to decide much. You just are kind of this extension of this other person's vision, and that teaches you how to tell somebody else's story, which is, I think, it's very important.
Yeah.
To let go of your creative process and just help someone else tell their story. So I think that's been a very good learning experience for me.
I love that. So obviously, being a makeup artist, working in the beauty industry, your job in particular is very focused on outer beauty, but you are also a very big advocate for inner beauty as well. Single working mom. I mean, tell us a little bit about that and why you think, the inner beauty is just as important, if not more, than outer.
I think, I mean, I totally an advocate for feeling good about yourself, whatever that looks like. But I think the best way to get to a place where you look in the mirror and you feel good about yourself is you start with inner beauty. I don't know if the term inner beauty is what I'm looking for here, but more just working on your mental health, working on your routine and what makes you feel best. And I think outer beauty follows after that. You get the reins on the rest. In my experience, at least, there have been times in my life where I focus so much on outer beauty, and I'm working out, and maybe the motivations for that are just, I want to look great, and I'm going to do my hair, but everything else, like I'm, not working out, I'm not eating well, I'm not sleeping. And no matter what I do, appearance wise, I still feel really bad about myself. I look in the mirror and then still feel tired and grumpy, and just taking care of our mental health is so important. And yeah, I think outer beauty will follow. And even if objectively you don't look any different, like if you were to start with, therapy and working out every day, I think that when you look in the mirror and you do have that routine, it will help you just like what you see in the mirror more, even if it's the same.
Yeah. Definitely. Agreed. Well, I mean, congratulations on all of the, huge success you've had thus far. All of the projects you are currently working on. Is there anything we can expect to see from you soon? Any surprises, anything new coming that you can share?
Well, yeah, just like I said, Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. We just finished. We just finished filming that, and the next show that I'm doing, it's called The Bear. It's an FX Hulu show. We only done the pilot so far. So that's happening in Chicago. We're starting filming next week. And it's going to be a really great change for me. I think I've kind of have this reputation of the beauty girl in film.
Mhm.
So I just finished this project with superheroes and masks and tattoos, and now I'm going into this um, more gritty show with less glam makeup, but just more realism and uh, sweat and dirt. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun change for me.
Definitely.
And effects too. Effects is it's probably gonna have more effects moments. So I'm excited about that. Because I really haven't had any since Claws. Claws, I mean, obviously they had a huge, that was a makeup show. It was, all the women were to the nines, but even, whenever they were splattered in blood, they had their full face beat. So this is going to be a fun change.
Definitely. Very cool. Well, let our viewers know where they can follow along with you, website, social handles, where they can get in touch.
So I can be found on Instagram. It's Ignacia MSA. It's IGNACIA MSA.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ignacia, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your projects very soon.